Good morning. I'm Jacqueline with Airport Improvement Magazine, and we are here today talking to Curt Fentress. Hi, Curt. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing good.
So, we were going to talk about just a little bit if you can kind of tell us how you got started and how you got Fentress Architects to what it is today.
Well, I guess we're talking about airports. So my first encounter with an airport project was when I was in the university. I did an airport for my thesis project. And of course, my thesis advisor told me he couldn't understand why I did an airport because they're never going to build any during my career. So that's kind of come around and is a little different than he thought it would be. So now there's a huge explosion of things with air travel and people going everywhere wanting to travel for business as well as for fun and entertainment, that sort of thing. And so there's been a huge proliferation of airplanes and people in the sky. So there's probably a couple million people in the sky right now over the US as we are talking.
Absolutely. So, tell us first a little bit about this model behind you. I know this is one of your bigger projects.
Well, the model behind me is LAX. That's what we call it. It's the new Tom Bradley terminal, which is an international terminal at LA. So if you're familiar with it, it's kind of a big racetrack that you go around, terminals after terminal. And then at the end, there's this international terminal that's over my shoulder here to my right. And we were the architects for that. It came sometime in our career much after we had done the Denver airport, which was our first airport. And that was back in the 80s, that like 86, 87, that we designed the terminal for the Denver International Airport. And we did several other competitions after that. One in Incheon, South Korea, which we won, which is a very large airport and is doing really well in the world in terms of being in the top 10, that sort of thing. And then after that, we did terminals here and there around the United States and some other international competitions along the way. So this building is 1.4 million square feet. It has 18 gates. 9 of those are for double-decker 380 airbuses. So long-haul aircraft and the largest things flying in the sky commercially today.
Wow. So tell us a little bit about some projects that you are working on right now.
Well, currently we're working on several airports. We're finishing up a pretty good sized project down in Houston, which is an international airport piece to their international airport. It's the George Bush Airport in Houston. And the piece that we're completing in the next month or so is a terminal for international flights. And it all ties into the new FIS facilities, which we did the conceptual and schematic designs for, and a new ticketing hall and baggage claim and a place to check your bags when you check in for an international flight. So it's a pretty cool building, and we're very excited about that coming together. And probably photographs of that will be out and about in a month or so.
Okay, exciting. That is one of the two airports that's nearest to me to fly out of. So I will have to check it out myself the next time that I fly. It's just a few hours down the road for
Yeah.
me. So one of Fentress Architects' 8 touchstones of design is design for people. Tell us a little bit about what that means for you.
Well, I think we have always made people kind of the center focus of our designs for airports. We originally, when we did Denver, we talked about passenger comfort and conveniences and wrote a lot about that and everything we could do to reduce the walking distance for passengers We've tried to do that in the terminals that we've designed. We have a lot of assisted walking within the buildings because these buildings, as the planes get larger, the buildings get larger. More people that fly, the planes get larger again. And then the whole thing keeps getting larger and larger, and greater walking distances are required. So we've been trying to find geometries that make the walking distance shorter and other things that speed up the flow of the passenger through the building. So things like facial recognition today is something that we just did a lot of in Orlando. And so that's kind of pioneering there, that aspect of now we see in many airports a year or so later. But that's something that is speeding up the flow through security and getting people onto the planes. We also are working constantly to try to make the experience in the terminal good for people. So having better retail, better food service is a constant thing. Having more seating and a variety of spaces that people can be in is very important, I think. Bringing daylight into the building is another thing that we pride ourselves on. And we think that that takes the sting off of the fact that there's often there's waits or there are delays because of weather or mechanical, because of issues with the airlines. And so all of those things combined to make this a better experience for people is really important.
I agree. As a frequent traveler myself, whenever unexpected delays come about, you want to have more different options of places to sit, be comfortable, spread your things out, get something to eat.
Well, yeah, after Houston, we're currently working on Atlanta and helping make the building wider and bigger at the curbsides, working on the ticket counters to make those easier for people to come in and bag tag and self-check their bags and make that flow in Atlanta easier. And that's, of course, the busiest airport at the moment in the world. And so anything that we can do there to make it more fluid and easier on the passengers and the people operating the airport and the airlines is really appreciated. And of course, there's a refresh of many of the spaces going on at the same time. So the joint venture that we're working in there in Atlanta is redoing most of the bathrooms in the building. So they'll be fresh and new and ready to go for the future. So that's an exciting project for us. And then we're working down in Raleigh, North Carolina, studying some expansion for them and a terminal that we did about 12, 15 years ago. So they're beginning to, because of growth in the community and in the research triangle in that area, it is increasing the number of flights, but also international flights are becoming a bigger and bigger thing in Raleigh, North Carolina as well. And so those connections overseas are really important for business and commercial activities. And so we're seeing more and more that airports want international flights and direct international flights if possible. So they don't have, less time is lost on a trip to go to Europe or to Asia to make business arrangements, but also for folks that are going on holiday as well.
Right. The Atlanta airport being so busy, I'm sure it is constantly refreshing things. So that's great that you're doing a project there. And Raleigh, I have flown into, so I've probably seen your terminal there. And I know for them, I bet another big reason that the international flights are so important is it's near an Army base. So I'm sure they would utilize international flights quite a bit. So So that's a good update. So you have been designing airports for over 30 years now. And Fentress Global Challenge is something that invites students to envision the airport of the future. So what do you think the future of airport design holds? What might we see in the next 10 or 20 years?
So I think, one of the things that is really important is sustainability and resilience, of course. Um, Airports that are in lower areas have concerns with flooding from hurricanes and other kinds of storms. And we've seen some have to go offline because of that. So that's a big issue. The idea of energy. Where's the fuel come from? We see airlines trying to recycle the garbage and everything to make fuel from it. And so the cost of fuel is going to be an issue in the future. And everything they can do to reduce the cost of fuel is being done, I think, in terms of new engines and new aircraft and that sort of thing. We're also going to see, I think, a lot more vertical takeoff. I know that Uber has been working on that for Uber taxi from downtown areas or urban areas to airports. But we're also going to see some equipment come into play that is going to change the short haul flights. Let's say the 500 to 700 mile type flights, and they'll be able to land and without the runway, just land like a helicopter, rotate their engines and land and take off. And so we're going to see a lot more vertical takeoff equipment incorporated into the design in the future. And so we run a class at North Carolina State University and teach airport design. And that's one of the things that we talk with the students a lot. And the students have a lot of ideas how things will change in the future. So it's really good to work with the students because they're not contaminated like myself of working on airports for 30 years. They have fresh ideas and new thoughts that they bring to the table about how airports could change. And so we're seeing a lot of things in their minds in terms of the people being able to just walk through the airport much more freely than we see today as the equipment for scanning people, scanning luggage, all those kind of things is going to be consolidated and take less space. But today we have a lot of space that's required for those activities.
I think that's a really good point. And some of the things you're saying, it feels almost like we're living the Jetsons now. Things just keep changing and exceeding the boundaries of what we thought was possible. So that's amazing. Anything else that I didn't touch on that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I think that a lot of the things that we can do for a passenger to make it more comfortable and convenient, everything from the restrooms, again, is important to the food services in the building, meeting spaces in the airport. There's a lot of people trying to do business in the airport. We found that by changing the seating, we designed a chair that has a tablet arm and an electric plug for every seat so that there's a cup holder also. So people can have some refreshments, they can charge their devices, they can work on their laptop and continue getting off emails or receiving emails and doing business with other people until they get on the plane. And then we're seeing on the airplanes now much more use of Wi-Fi. So there's this continuous opportunity to speed up business and the flow of commercial activity through the Wi-Fi. So they're little increments and small things, but altogether they add up to a much more busy kind of activity. And so there is a need for entertainment, which you can also do on planes now with Wi-Fi, and maybe entertainment within the terminals as well. So there are some places that are experimenting with that. And we've put in a lot of digital screens in the buildings. This one behind us here was a pioneer for a big digital screen that is in the retail area. So for those people who don't want to shop, they can watch entertainment on the digital screen while other members of their family may be shoppers and they go shopping. Or you can sit at a cafe, a sidewalk cafe kind of a setting, and see the entertainment and have food at the same time. So combining things and making it more interesting for the passenger is something that we think is more important to make it comfortable and to pass the time and pass the time in a productive way whenever people are trying to do business as well.
Yes, I cannot agree with that more. The last trip I took on my way back from Grand Rapids in the airport, I utilized one of the chairs you're talking about with the little tray for the tablet or computer and the plugs, and was able to sit down and do some emails, catch up on work stuff before I got on the flight, because nowadays if you have to travel and you can work remotely, you don't want the whole day wasted. You can catch at least a few moments here and there to check in and catch up on stuff. So that's extremely, extremely helpful. So thank you so much for all that you do and for taking the time to talk with us today about it some.
Well, thank you. It's been a joy to talk with you. Thank you.
Thanks.